pillar of design thinking and innovation is ideation.
An idea. Resilient, highly contagious. Once an idea has taken hold of the brain, it's almost impossible to eradicate. An idea that is fully formed, fully understood, that sticks. Right in there somewhere.
Right in there somewhere. Thank you, Leo. Have you ever had an idea? And you can tell me about it afterwards if you want, if you're too shy to be public about it. Have you ever had an idea? An idea that, quite frankly, you thought was pretty brilliant, if you may say so yourself. An idea that could have been a business of its own, or at the very least, a transformative part of another business. But ultimately, an idea that you never acted on, out of lack of resources, out of fear of failure, out of self-doubt, fear what other people might think of you. Does that resonate? I'm sure it does with most people. See, ideas are the sparks of consciousness that set us apart from all the other creatures on this wonderful earth. How ideas arise in the brain remains a neurological mystery. But what we have learned is that ideas, not knowledge, propel society forward and our organizations. Imagination, not knowledge, is the bedrock of innovation. Ideas and imagination are like a muscle, like going to the gym. The more of it you use, the stronger it gets. This beautiful quote by Maya Angelou: you can't use up creativity. The more of it you use, the more of it you have. Most organizations do not have what I like to call creative safe haven. Neutral environments where every idea can be freely expressed, no matter how crazy, without judgment, without bias, without authority. And the problem with that is, in many cases, as we've seen in history, some of the greatest ideas can come from the most unlikely of people at the most unlikely of times. A young boy, the seventh child of an immigrant family, he was deaf in one ear. He only went to school for 3 months in his whole life. But he had ideas. He had a lot of ideas. And he wasn't afraid to play with those ideas, to experiment. He wasn't afraid to fail. He ended up changing the world. His name was Thomas Edison. A nerdy engineer with a very dubious haircut, working for Hewlett-Packard in the 1970s, in the late 70s. Begging, pleading with the management of Hewlett-Packard to let him design a personal computer for ordinary people. Instead of the big enterprise, bulky things that they were designing at the time, they turned him down over and over again. And after he'd been turned down 5 times, he called it quits. He left and he moved on to greener pastures. And he ended up founding the most valuable company in the history of the world. His name is Steve Wozniak. You know the other Steve. Lost my train of thought there for a second. So while most of us don't have a Wozniak or Edison or anyone like that lying around, most of us will be sitting within our teams, within our communities, on an idea that may fundamentally transform our organization and our society. But are you cultivating an environment where those ideas can be freely expressed? Are you creating environments where those ideas can be openly discussed without bias, without judgment? So I urge you to open yourself up to the ideas of your teams in your community, because you may find an idea that transforms your organization and your association. See, the combined power of organization empathy with the free flow of ideas is a powerful concept for change. but only if you can muster the courage to open yourself up to the free flow of ideas. See, a study done by Accenture